Well, Pacelli and Boomer, they're grizzled and gray, talking about Star Wars from back in the day. Got a talk show called Geeky Geezers, it's true, spinning old tales about the stuff they went through. From Atari to Shrek, they know every line. Geeky Geezers, man, they're feeling just fine. Late Savvy's got a lightsaber, swings it with pride. Boomer's got a game but plays it deep in the night. They're ranting about He-Man and old X-Men too. On Geeky Geezers, they're the nerdiest crew, talking Transformers, toys, they twist and they turn, singing blues for the geek life, their hearts still burn. Oh, Geeky Geezers, they're living the dream, talking comics and movies, they're busting the scenes. From Battlestar reruns to D&D lore, they're preaching the gospel of geek evermore. Pacelli and Boomer, they'll never grow old. Geeky Geezers with hearts made of gold. They're sitting in the studio, mics turned up loud, reminiscing about Super Friends, feeling so proud. Pacelli loves Spider-Man, Boomer's for Hulk. They argue about Star Trek with passion and both. From Betamax tapes to their old D20s, Geeky Geezers where the nostalgia flows. They got fans in the chat, from the young to the old, tuning in to hear stories that never get told. Talking Ghostbusters, Proton Packs, Toys in the Box, and Saturday mornings with cartoons that rocks. Pacelli and Boomer, they're keeping it real. Geeky Geezers with that old school feel. Oh, Geeky Geezers, they're living the dream, talking comics and movies, they're busting the scenes. From Battlestar reruns to D&D lore, they're preaching the gospel of geek evermore. Pacelli and Boomer, they'll never grow old. Geeky Geezers with hearts made of gold. They're singing the blues for the games that they play, for the VHS tapes and the arcades that pray. But the spirits are young, though their hair's turning white. Geeky Geezers keep the nerd fire alight, so tune in each week to the Geeky Geezers show, where Pacelli and Boomer let the good times flow. From X-Files to X-Men, they're dropping the news, singing praises of geek life with them old blues. Pacelli and Boomer, forever they'll be. Geeky Geezers living wild and free.
We're live.
Wait a minute. Oh, I'm looking at my YouTube. Sorry. Where the heck am I? Okay, there we are. I was on YouTube and I'm like, okay, when's this starting? And then I'm like, oh, I'm not on the EV Mux, which is where I'm supposed to be. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Agent Boomer. This is my co-host, Papa Pacelli, back from Orlando.
Back from Orlando, and apparently I throw you off when I'm on with you because you were smooth as glass last week.
I think it was more like I was just tired from the 2 days of walking.
Well, yeah.
So I'm just I'm not being all nervous, or I'm just like, okay, let's just get through this. But that was fun, though. And of course, Netter of Netters Network, our resident Geezette, welcome.
Good evening.
And here we are, and I'm gonna need to take out. I don't know. I'm gonna need to sell some blood or something to get a PlayStation 5. More on that in a bit, or something.
Or maybe start thinking about, is it really worth it? That might.
What do you mean? Is it really worth it?
Is it really worth it?
I want it.
Just because you want it doesn't mean it's worth it.
Didn't you see the Pirates of Silicon Valley when you had Steve Wozniak, I think, revealing to Bill Gates about this new thing for the Mac OS which used Windows, and I think Bill Gates said, "I want it, Steve, I want it." I love that scene from that movie. But anyway,
I mean that's all well and good, but when I don't know, maybe this comes with maturity. As you get older, you start looking back and you go, there were things that I've wanted throughout my life that I've been willing to spend a lot of money on, only to find it wasn't really as awesome as I thought it would be. It, didn't live up to the hype I'd built up in my mind.
That's true. And some of the things I was reluctant to buy ended up being very nice.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, every now and again there will be something that I might pass up on and go, damn, I missed the opportunity on that one or whatever. But that's why you got to really pay attention, count the cost and really say, is there another option that would be as good or better? Just a thought.
Chat is now open, everyone. Thank you. Oh, that was you.
Yep.
Okay. Probably too late for this week. I just saw James Tolkien passed away, 94. Rest in peace. Okay. Well, thank you for the information, Linda Green. We might look into that for next week.
Actually, I think we have that in our notes, don't we?
Do we?
Isn't that one of them?
Okay. We
Pretty sure.
might. The name isn't familiar to me, so I might have glossed over him, but we'll get
Character
into it.
actors, you always know the face, you forget the name,
Right.
but we'll get into it. Yeah.
Hello, my geezer friends. Hope you have a great show. Wish everyone a great weekend. Thank you, Big Al. Thank you for popping by last week as my guest host, along with this gentleman here, Deleted Scenes. Thank you so much for popping by.
Yep. Salute, my friend.
Welcome, Fluff Chick Productions. Let me see.
Good to see you, Connie.
Who else is here? Connie Cleary. Welcome. Go down the list. Netter of Netter's Network. Of course, she's here. And let me see. Jesse Cajardo, welcome. How's your PlayStation saving going? We'll get into that in a minute.
We'll get into that in a second. If we could back up for just a second, I want to real quick. Lynn Green said, also, thank you for being the top Google result for Klingon Winter Solstice holiday. I did not know that my video for the Ramnite holiday was a #1 on Google. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. It's a great little video around the holidays for Star Trek fans to go take a look at. Well, you can really check it out anytime you want. But there you
Geek
go.
Flag with Nate Knows, welcome. And let's see here. All right, I guess that's it. So we're going to get into the good old days. Let's just do it.
Troy, it's worth it for the Resident Evil collection and Lego games. Are these not available on PC? Are they exclusive to
Do they run as well on
PlayStation?
PC? I'm just saying. Sorry.
If they don't, is it something that you can improve on your PC? See, the nice thing about a PC is you have 100% control over how much RAM you put into it, how much video RAM you put into it, what video driver you're using. You can upgrade it over and over for a long period of time instead of having to spend $2,000 up front.
Well, we're not there yet.
You're
will be in
getting
a
really
couple
damn
days.
close, my friend.
We will be there in a couple days. Jesse, you can
I'm
still
not
get
paying $900 for a game system. I'll buy a gaming PC first.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I hate to say this, though. I am starting to wonder if this isn't going to start hitting the gaming PCs, the problems we're seeing with the consoles as well. So we'll see.
Well,
Anyway.
the difference here is my gaming PC is also the PC that I use for streaming. So it's you know, it covers a lot of ground. It's what I watch my videos on. It's what I play my games on, and it's what I'm currently using to broadcast to all of my friends.
You're talking to a Mac user and a guy that buys game consoles.
This is somebody who has gone so far down a dead-end road, and he really doesn't want to have to turn around and go back the way he came just to get to
Anyway, we'll talk about more on that.
He's getting ready to tear down walls and start digging through a dead end.
Listen to
he
me.
Doesn't want to go back.
Anyway, you don't think I've heard the PC argument my whole life? Anyway,
you might want to start paying attention to it.
Listen to me. I might have been willing with the Steam box. That might have been my meeting halfway. But I don't even know if that thing's coming out at this point because of everything going on with the RAM.
Which is a real shame because I really like a good sauna.
Okay, let's move on. Anyway, Jesse, you can still get one. It's not. I don't think the prices start till April 1st. So and PlayStation Direct, unfortunately, the Fortnite bundle for the one that came with the disc drive of the Slim is gone, but you can still get the digital edition, and I think you can buy a drive for it later on if you want. So for $400, if you're wanting to go
See,
cheap.
again, I'm sorry, I don't buy this, Jesse. I don't have the space for a PC, but I have the space for a $600 PS6. So you have room for a game system and a television and something to play, movies on or for streaming videos and, for accessing, YouTube videos. Which might all be completely separate devices, but you don't have room for one computer. which would
Listen.
do all of those things.
Listen,
Just saying, if you want to economize space,
Jesse.
that's what you do.
Anyway, Jesse, I wish you the best of luck. I'm not. Troy and I are of different minds on this because I.
Well, and here's the other thing.
Okay.
You've gone down your dead end road. He never even had the chance, so he doesn't even have that option now, as we'll get into in a little bit.
Well, he will if he buys one in the next day. Anyway, or maybe he wants to spend the money. Anyway, I will get into that a little bit. We're getting off track here. I want to talk about. Let's get in the good old days. Bring it up, because I'm going to explain to you what you could never get on a PC. So go ahead and bring it up.
Okay.
I'm sure you can get it illegally on a PC through emulation, but back in the day, the whole idea behind game consoles and PC. Okay, so I want to explain to you the whole thing about game consoles. I remember back when I was a kid, and we had an Atari 800 computer. You could play games on that. But my dad eventually got an IBM PC compatible, and my dad didn't want to spend money on fancy sound chips or graphics cards. So if we would go out and we would buy a game for it, it would run terribly. I think eventually one year my parents, they saw every other kid on the block had an NES. They got us an NES in the Christmas of 1989. And this is why, at least back in the day, I liked the NES, because this was a cheap alternative and the games worked. And you got experiences on a game console you wouldn't get on a PC.
I can see that argument. That you just hit me where the decent argument is. It was a cheaper alternative and reliable. No. Those two things go together very importantly. It sounds to me, however, like that is no longer the case.
Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. You might have a point. Okay, in fact, you probably do have a point. Anyway, let's be blunt. If I had wanted one, I would have bought one. So anyway, but let's talk about Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Now, I did not actually own this, but I was able to borrow it from a neighbor after we got the NES. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Have you heard of this game? Do you know anything about it? Because I will give you a history lesson.
No. I actually didn't we talk about it once before when we were talking about
what
games that we loved or something like that?
I don't remember.
We talked about it briefly, but this was based on the arcade game Punch-Out. They just inserted Mike Tyson into it, and yeah, I love this game in the arcade. I never actually played it on Nintendo, obviously.
Yes, so he can. This is the NES. Oh, you knew about this from the arcade?
Yes.
Because many people, I don't think, realize that this was originally an arcade game. In the arcade,
they did not have... I don't believe they had Mike Tyson.
No.
It wasn't until they went to the Nintendo that they licensed with Mike Tyson. And let's face it, it didn't change the game significantly. It just put in a character that looked like Mike Tyson.
Yes.
And you could box
and he
with
endorsed the game. Here's what happened back in the day. I think one of the executives at Nintendo, he went to go see some American boxing matches, and he saw this young fighter sort of rising through the ranks called Mike Tyson. And they said, when we bring Mike Tyson to the Famicom Nintendo, or when we bring Punch-Out to the Famicom from the arcade, I want him in the game. And they were able to license his likeness and image for a reasonable price before he hit big by winning the title.
Right.
And by the time the game came out, he had won the title, so this game was huge. And Nintendo, this was actually it was perfect timing. And this is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. As you can see, he's on the cover of the game. And this is terrifying. Mike is waiting for your challenge. One of the most terrifying bosses in any video game in all of history is Mike Tyson. But we'll get to him later on.
Yeah.
In fact, if you play Street Fighter II, one of the villains named Balrog in that game was actually, they switched the names around. In the Japanese version, it was M. Bison, short for Mike Bison, because that was another game where they also based another character off of
I
Mike
had
Bison.
no idea.
They changed the names for the American version. That's why you didn't realize that. They made the main bad guy M. Bison. That's why we call him M. Bison from then on. But it was actually, they switched the names around for the bosses.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, Minion of Vega or Balrog, I forget which. I think Vega was the main villain. But they switched names around. But there's the arcade game, as you were saying. Had a 2-screen arcade game. Nintendo, I don't know if this is to their credit or to their fault. They've been obsessed with this idea of 2 screens from even back in the old days of the arcade. This is why when they brought out the DS, They were big on. In fact, I don't know why they didn't bring out a Punch-Out game for the DS. That would have made perfect sense, but oh well. This is their arcade game. You see on the top screen, you see like the match, the verses, and then the bottom you see the actual fighting. And you are correct. This did not have actual Mike Tyson in the arcade game, but I'll show you a screen from it. I believe that's Mr. Sandman from the arcade. And as you can see, your character Little Mac, you can sort of see through him.
Right.
Right? And he's not like a character on the screen, and you have the audience in the background.
Yep.
But Jessica Hardo, this was... Go ahead.
What?
He's asking if he has a special ear bite move in the game. That was before that incident. That was later.
So the animation was fairly static on the background characters. Yeah. You could tell that the ring and the foreground is like kind of overlaid over a background. But that background had some movement in it, and it was actually kind of important movement. I think you'll get to that in a little bit.
I think we'll talk about that with the NES game too, because I think I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
But, of course, here's the ad. He's tough, he's mean, and he's waiting for you. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Everybody knew about this game. Even kids like me that didn't have an NES yet. You saw this game advertised. You had Mike Tyson on the TV commercial, and, you see some guy playing the game, Fast and Furious, and wondering who it is, and then you see someone fighting Mike Tyson on the screen, and then the seat turns around, and it's actual Mike Tyson on the commercial, laughing at you, the kid watching the TV, like he's going to get you. Right. This is what the game looks like, and as you can see, there's an audience in the background. Now, what you were saying about the audience is apparently the audience will give you hints on how to beat the boxers. Yes.
I guess the only way, I'm sure that someone must have realized there was a pattern, because everyone who's ever played a game like this, when the opponent starts to move a certain way. This is true in real boxing. If they start to drop their guard or whatever, that's when you go in and whatnot, and you have to watch for those very specific times. Well, it was timed along with the flashes of a camera behind your opponent in the audience. When it flashed, that's when you were supposed to go in for the punch, and that's when you could get the knockout.
Yeah, there are all sorts of little hints there, which I didn't know as a kid. I'm just like, I think I made my way into the second bouts. I would get through the first three characters at the second bouts, and I think Don Flamingo would. I think I eventually beat Don Flamingo, but he was from Spain. By the way, people would yell about this today, but every character in this game is like a caricature of the country they're from.
Yeah, that was always true in video games, and honestly, just deal with it, people. Come on.
Yeah, because like you have what is it? You have what is it? Piston Honda, I think was his name, from Japan. You had
that's
and
funny.
he looked like Mr. Miyagi with the karate thing around his head. You had Von Kaiser from Germany.
Of course, yeah.
With the big mustache and looking like he's gonna beat the crap out of you. You had Glass Joe from France.
That's
so.
Funny.
Of course, you could knock Glass Jaw. They were picking.
He's the first one you fight. In fact, he's the easiest.
There was Soda Popinski. Was he from Poland or from Russia? I don't remember. Maybe it was Poland. And the funny thing was, in the arcade game, he was called Vodka Draginski. And he would drink the vodka coming out into the stage, but they changed that, of course, for the NES game because they called him Soda Popinski. That's King Hippo. I don't know where he's from. Was he from Hungary or Belgium? I don't know. There he is. He's the one where you can't even hit his stomach. Like he just laughs at you if you punch his gut. Russia. Right. Thank you, Lynn Green. Okay, Soda Popinski was from Russia. But here are the various girls, and that's, of course, our hero, Little Mac, and his trainer, Doc Lewis. And I remember playing this game, and sometimes between matches, Doc Lewis would give you a hint, right?
Uh-huh.
And one time he said, "Fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee. And I'm like, what does that mean? And I didn't realize that's boxing lingo, right? That's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it is.
people say that. That's probably something that was said in one of the Rocky movies, right?
Uh, it goes before Rocky. Muhammad Ali used to say, "I float like a butterfly, I sting like a bee."
Maybe that's what it was, yeah. And
Yeah.
he,
That was his catchphrase.
That was his catchphrase, right?
and he was. Doc Lewis is funny though. I might talk a little bit about the remake too in a little bit too. But there we have Doc Lewis on his bicycle, and we have Little Mac in the pink jumpsuit. Why? Of course, you got
Why
the
not?
Statue of Liberty in the background. This is New York, and we have
Yeah.
Doc Lewis there. There's a Robot Chicken. Oh, there's this real bad Robot Chicken short where you have Doc Lewis on the bike, and he's riding the bike, and then he just kills over because I guess he dies of a heart attack.
Because he has a heart attack. That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he and then they do the funeral, and they have all the different fighters coming up and giving like their eulogy. I think Mike Tyson shows up at the end and says, "I took all the pizza rolls. Bye." And like that's what he says at the end. But why does the main character look like a kid version of Rocky? I'm sure it was inspired by Rocky.
Exactly.
All right,
I'm sure
I
it
mean,
was
this-
intentional.
I mean, this is a ridiculous game because it's not actually this isn't actually an official like what is it, the Boxing Federation, whatever they call it, game. This is these are fake boxers, except for of course you have a license of Mike Tyson in the game at the very end of the game. But there's Glass Joe. He's easy to work on. The graphics. This is an example of a game utilizing the hardware very well. The boxers all have their cute little tics and personalities. It's nothing fancy, but it works for the NES. It was actually a rather exceptional NES game. It's probably in the top 10 NES games. So, really fun. Not quite. There's a. I think it's Piston Honda. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, though. But there we go. Or is it Piston Hondo? Maybe that's what he was called. And there he is. And, of course, these boxers are huge. You look at Little Mac and you see these huge boxers. And I'm sorry, you're playing this game. It's intimidating. And there you go. There's Soda Popinski. You like him, huh? He
Yeah.
would come out and drink the soda pop when he would come onto into the ring.
I see where, overseas it would have made more sense for it to have been vodka. I get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at this dude, man. He's got the Speedos. He's got the abs. That's intimidating. And of course, you recognize who the referee is.
Oh yeah, it's Mario.
Yeah,
Or-
yes. There was a thing when I had the Mario Mania guide. They did a little bit on the history of Mario, and he says, "Oh, he had all kinds of jobs before he became a plumber. This is him as a referee for the Boxing Federation."
Yeah,
and it's-
exactly.
Is that That is Mario. Yes, he has a cameo. He's the ref in this. Let's see here, though. And there's Mr. Sandman. And,
He brings you a dream. Sorry,
I guess. I think they might have done something like that. And there's Don Flamenco, and of course he has a rose in his mouth as he comes onto the stage and does the
That
Spanish
makes
dance.
sense.
Look at that, because he's from Spain. Just wonderful. And of course we get to the main event. That's Mike Tyson, even with the gap in his tooth and everything. And
Yeah.
it's just
Well, otherwise, especially at this low resolution, how else would you recognize him if you didn't almost caricature him?
absolutely terrifying. Now, I want to say that I never made it to Mike Tyson on my own, but kids on the bus had passwords, and I got a password from a
Oh.
kid on the bus. And I put the password into the game, and I decided I'm going to bypass everybody. It's like 36 Chamber Shaolin at the beginning of that movie where I want to go to the top chamber, and then he gets his butt kicked just by one of the old men who just
I
like,
was gonna say
pushes on
I'm
the
not
wind.
really sure I see the value of this because, I mean, you get to where a game that you can't get to that level on your own. You cheat to get there. Do you think it's going to be easier somehow?
I had the NES for like a month, okay, or maybe 2 months. I didn't understand the rules of gaming yet, all right? So I put
Clearly.
the password in, and he shows up, and it's just bam, 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 you're down. Bam, bam, bam. It's like, it's terrifying. He's terrifying. He comes out here, look at that. And it's
Yeah.
just, it's the most terrifying boss in all of gaming. And of course, here's a picture from the commercial. Now, eventually, Nintendo lost the Mike Tyson license. All right.
Right.
They then decide, let's re-release Punch-Out. Instead of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, they release it as just regular Punch-Out. And they changed the character. They basically gave him a race swap, and they changed his head, and they called him Mr. Dream. Now, people got angry about that because they said, where's Mike Tyson? But I do want to say that Mr. Dream, if you look at his face, you can tell that he's inspired by Rocky Marciano.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting. They, of course, was a game. There was a Super Punch-Out that came out on the Super Nintendo, also based on the arcade game Super Punch-Out, which had some returning boxers and some new boxers. Like Bear Hugger was one of the new boxers in Super Punch-Out, and he would, and he was all about maple syrup because he was from Canada.
Oh, of course.
He was the Canadian boxer, okay? But later on the Nintendo Wii, and this is actually one of the better Nintendo Wii consoles. As you know, I'm not a huge fan of the Nintendo Wii, but they did do a Punch-Out for the Nintendo Wii. Now, on the downside, most of the boxers are just reissues of boxers from the first two Punch-Out games. But the graphics were really good. They were able to make it look almost like a cartoon, the way the boxers come out, right? They did have one new boxer, which was I forget what his name was. Was it Disco Kid? He had a disco theme, and a disco ball would actually come down into the ring, and he would have his moves. I wish they had done more boxers like that, where they had more original boxers in it. But it was still pretty good. At the end of the Punch-Out game for the Wii, guess who you fight? Guess who the big bad boss is at the very end of the game?
No idea.
Donkey Kong.
Wow.
They just throw Donkey Kong into the ring. You're fighting actual Donkey Kong. And then what Doc Lewis says, and Doc Lewis is fully voiced in this game too. Like he'll talk to you, and like he says in between the matches, he goes, "Hey, you know that gorilla? Why don't you go ahead and you steal some of those bananas so I can make myself a banana split?" Because all Doc Lewis thinks about is food. You know?
Yeah, there you go.
But that was a great little remake. I still love the original game, though, and there is something iconic about having Mike Tyson as your big bad boss in the thing. Troy, do not mock the Canadians. They're half the reasons why we have Geneva Conventions. Oh, it's fine. I'm not mock. I mean, I'm just like.
Oh yeah, because the Geneva Conventions really mean a lot these days.
Okay. Anyway, but
married to a Canadian.
Yeah, I am married to someone of French Canadian descent. Let's put it that way.
I'm trying to think if they
My
made fun
father's
of.
French Canadian.
Yep.
Were there any American caricatures? I guess Little Mac is an American caricature, kind of. But he's our hero. And the
little runt, but he's kind of scrappy, and he's
yes,
he's got a drive to be more than he is.
And even though they stopped making Punch-Out games for the time being, you can still play as Little Mac in Super Smash Brothers, the game where all the video game characters beat each other up. He's one of the characters you can play as in that, so that's kind of neat. All right. Oh man, do we have to? Do we have to talk about the news of the evening?
Unfortunately, yeah, we do.
All right. Oh, unfortunately, we have some deaths before we get into the more depressing stuff. I'm sorry, I'm kidding, of course. I'm just sorry. That was not good taste. Valerie Perini, am I saying her name right?
Perrin.
82?
Valerie Perrin.
Who, of course, we know as Miss Teschmacher.
Yes, Miss Teschmacher.
The former Las Vegas showgirl.
Just like Netter's Avatar, that's why we use that.
Oh, I see. Very cool.
She did the Miss Teschmacher thing when I did the
did Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah, it was kind of a funny story. Neither one of them obviously were there. It was just a cosplay I was doing, and I went to get an autograph from Margot Kidder, and from Sarah Douglas. At that time that they were doing an autograph, Netter was dressed as Supergirl. I was dressed as the Silver Age Lex Luthor, the purple and green. So when Sarah Douglas saw me, she goes, "Okay, Supergirl, I get. I don't get this costume." I said, "Gene Hackman, but from the comics." She goes, "Oh, okay, I understand."
That's interesting. He wore purple and green. That's Joker's colors too. That's interesting.
Yeah, because you'll notice that heroes always wore primary colors, and villains always wore off-primary colors.
Yes.
That's how you visually get a, and that's also kind of why the Hulk is a purple and green scheme, because he's not really a hero. He usually is a problem, not like an evil villain, but like a problem to be stopped by.
I argue he's a monster. He's a monster.
Yeah.
Monsters aren't necessarily evil. They're just monsters. Right. You understand? I mean, to be fair, Superman made that point about the Xenomorph from Alien. I think in the Superman versus Aliens comics, he said, you know, I can't exterminate these creatures. They are technically sentient beings. He said that in the comic. I think he had a figure. But they said, but they had a point in the comic, these things can hurt me. And like he had an exclamation point. Like they couldn't kill him like the Marines, but they could do damage to him. So that was interesting. But Valerie Perrin,
Valerie Perrine.
Valerie Perrine.
Yeah.
The former Las Vegas showgirl who earned a Best Actress Oscar nomination for portraying Lenny Bruce's drug-addicted stripper wife in Lenny and played Lex Luthor's secretary in a pair of Superman films, died Monday. She was 82.
Yeah.
Prine's death at her home in Beverly Hills was announced by friend and soulmate Stacy Souther. She was diagnosed in 2015 with Parkinson's disease, which eventually robbed her of her mobility and much of her ability to eat and speak. She faced Parkinson's disease with incredible courage and compassion, never once complaining. He wrote, "There was a true inspiration who lived life. She was a true inspiration who lived life to the fullest, and what a magnificent life it was. The world feels less beautiful without her." I agree with that statement.
Yeah, I think we talked about it when she was first diagnosed, and I said that's a rotten road to be on.
That's a hard disease,
is. But I don't think that we give certain people enough credit. We talk about, well, obviously, Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster. They're the ones that created Superman and many of the elements of Superman that we love to this day, right? And we always talk about the comic writers and artists that brought these characters to life. I mean, if you get into like Batman, the person who created the character and the person who created the look of the character are two different people, and you can't give all the credit to one and not to the other. Right. But I would argue that Valerie Perrine was the one who really brought Ms. Eve Teschmacher to the Superman lore. That character did not exist in the comics before this character was created specifically for the first Superman movie, and she's the one that gave that character character. You know, it was just you really started really liking this character, obviously because she's beautiful, but also because she wasn't your typical villain Maul type character. She was clearly someone who had depth to her, and you totally see that in her saving Superman and asking him to save her mom, and realizing that she's not on a good path. She's hoping that she can do better, and you never know. Maybe she does turn her life around eventually. But that character then made it into the comics, was referenced many, many times, and now has become kind of a staple in the comics, even to the point of being recreated in the new, as it were, James Gunn Superman. But anyway, we wouldn't have that character at all in fandom if it weren't for Valerie Perrine.
Yes. And a few comics and shows used Teschmacher. There was Mercy and Tess Mercer. Yeah, Tess Mercer was sort of a combination of the two from Smallville, I think. Yeah. Exactly
right. And then it became, there was, I don't know, we must be going about 10, 15 years ago, there was a modern version of the evil alternate universe where the Justice Syndicate were the bad guys and Lex Luthor was the good guy. And Lex Luthor is getting ready to shift over to our universe to ask for, the Justice League's help. And when he's doing that, he says, "I'm going to be she's off camera. She's off panel, so you don't see her." And he's putting his office in order, and he goes, "I'm going to be away for some time. So Miss Teschmacher, feel free to take the next couple weeks off with pay, and I'll see you when I get back." And I'm like, "Oh, brilliant.
Funny.
And it was pretty much since then that in the mainline comics, they started having Miss Teschmacher regularly being cast as his secretary, and Otis being like a bodyguard gopher kind of a character. So, it all started with the Richard Donner Superman.
Yeah. So rest in peace,
Absolutely.
Valerie Bryan. We'll miss you. And James Tolkien. I see. That's who she was referring to. Top Gun,
Yes.
Back to the Future actor.
This is what I
dies at
mean. You
94.
see the face, and you instantly know who we're talking about. But just from the name, you're like, who? I don't know. Oh, yes, you do know that.
The principal in Back to the Future.
Because you're a slacker. That's why.
Because you're a slacker. You know what I love about Back to the Future? How when he goes back in time to the 50s, and basically the principal almost looks exactly the same, except maybe he's wearing a slightly different suit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, some people are like that.
Some people
Where
just
they
never
don't
change.
age,
Absolutely.
like they look the same, like you're born at 40 or something, and that was probably him.
And let's face it, I don't know if everyone's had this experience, but if you live in a town where your parents grew up and so forth, it's very often that you go to the same school your parents went to, and they have a history. They have a history at that school, and you may have some of the same teachers they did. And they may very well have a bias based on your parents, how they're going to treat you. And you see that in this, and I'm like, that's good writing. That's real slice of life. We know people like that.
Yeah.
That really does happen.
I ended up going to my brother's high school.
There you go. Great
because
example.
it had been all male high school until my freshman year of high school, but I couldn't get in because my mother tried to register me too late, so she had to have me somewhere else my freshman year. But my sophomore year through senior, I was at my brother's high school. And I ended up with his homeroom teacher. And he's calling out the roll, and he goes, "Wait, you don't have a brother named Andre?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's my big brother." And he's like, "Are you like him?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he didn't really answer me.
It depends on in what regard.
You know what?
My brother wasn't very studious.
People are not.
No, that's true.
People are not their family. I mean,
Right.
Not always. I mean, but best known for his roles in Top Gun and Back to the Future franchises, died Thursday at Saranac Lake. He was 94. News of Tolkien's death was announced by a spokesperson for the family, as well as by writer-producer Bob Gale on the franchise's website. Tolkien's career spanned more than 5 decades. His first TV credit was for the 1960 series Naked City, and his last credit was for the 2015 film Bone Tomahawk. I need to watch Bone Tomahawk. I've heard good things, but
Yeah.
though Tolkien is perhaps most recognized for his work in the Back to the Future trilogy, in which he played Mr. Strickland in the 1985 original and the 1989 sequel. In 1990, he returned as the grandfather of his character in the third film.
Right.
Tolkien is also known for his appearance in Top Gun and Tony Scott's 1986 action film. Tolkien played Commander Tom Jardin, also known by the nickname Stinger, alongside stars Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, Meg Ryan, and more. He also had roles including War Games, Stiletto, Abduction, They Might Be Giants, The Amityville Horror. Who the heck was he in The Amityville Horror?
Oh, I think he was in the remake with Ryan Reynolds.
I
Okay.
think he was a priest.
He might have played the role of the priest. I don't remember because I don't remember that remake very well. I saw it once in the theater, never had an interest in seeing it again.
I've seen it a couple times. That might be one for us to have to do a rewatch someday.
Maybe.
Reevaluate it. He had roles in TV shows like Leverage and Nearwolf Ministry, The Pretender. Oh, I love The Pretender. Remember The Pretender?
I loved both Pretender and Leverage. Both were great shows.
Early edition, Nowhere Man. I like Nowhere Man. That only lasted one season. Cobra.
Early edition. I love that one too. That was about a guy who got a newspaper from a day in the future, and so he knew what was going to happen the next day.
I remember
and
that.
had to try and stop things from happening.
Stop bad things from happening. Exactly.
The Wonder Years.
Doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Who do you
I
play in
think
the
he
Wonder
played the
Years?
principal on that too.
Of course.
If they didn't have him playing the principal, that was a huge missed opportunity.
It'd be funny if it was just the same character.
Right, exactly. Same school, same everything.
That's what he was doing during the 60s. Okay, but Tolkien was born on June 20th, 1931 in Calumet, Michigan, attended Coe College and the University of Iowa before joining the U.S. Navy. He ultimately traveled to New York, where he studied at the Actors Studio in Selma Adler and Lee Strasberg. Tolkien survived by his wife, Parma Lee, who he met on the set of Pinkville, an off-Broadway play in 1971. An obituary in the Back to the Future website asks for donations to your local animal shelter, animal rescue organization, or humane chapter. You know what's interesting? I can kind of tell. You can kind of tell he was in the military, right? He has kind of that. Like when he talks, you listen, right? You stand.
You could totally see him being a contemporary of like Arlie Ermy, right?
Exactly.
You know?
All right, but rest in peace. Great actor. Again, one of these character actors, which may have to make our list when we do that stream. We'll have to remember him.
Absolutely.
And this is interesting. Behind the scenes now, Ted Nicholas, famed Hanna-Barbera composer on the Flintstones and Scooby-Doo, died at 97. This is interesting. Ted Nicholas, who composed, conducted, and arranged music for such beloved Hanna-Barbera cartoons as The Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, and Josie and the Pussycats, has died.
Yeah.
He was 97.
And as he reads those, you could probably even hear those songs, you know, in your head. Those tunes,
sure.
Right? You know,
they're iconic. Nicholas had a long battle with Alzheimer's and died January 9th in hospice care in Auburn, Washington. His daughter Karen Tolshog told Hollywood Reporter. Nichols worked on Hanna-Barbera productions from 1963 to 72, serving as the company's musical director for 8 years of his tenure. He started out working alongside another legendary HB composer, Hoyt Curtin, before succeeding him and then being replaced by him. Nichols composed the score for the sixth and final season of the original primetime run of The Flintstones on ABC, as well as for the 1966 feature The Man Called Flintstone. He's probably best known for his work on Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, which premiered on CBS on Saturday mornings in September 1969. Ted Nichols' underscores for Scooby-Doo are what I consider to be near-perfect music for a cartoon. Kate Utterberg says in his comprehensive 2021 documentary about Hanna-Barbera music, it's perfect for the show it was in. You can't tell me it doesn't help set the mood. And I know those background songs, like you know, Scooby and Shaggy lurking around some dark basement or something, and you're hearing the music in the background.
Absolutely.
But there are a few tracks that run for a few minutes and have several sections, and the music editors knew that this was a bonus as they mixed and matched parts from all the tracks to make a beautiful Frankenstein monster of a music bed in each episode. Oh, so they would like rearrange sections.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Exactly.
Because keep in mind, I don't know, this may still be the case with cartoons, or maybe it isn't, but back in the old days, you had a set arrangement of music you could use in an episode, and that was it. Batman the Animated Series was unique in the fact that each score for the episode was an original composition. That didn't happen on most cartoons. Most cartoons, you were lucky to get some good tracks that they could use over and over again. Favorite show of mine is Gargoyles. They would typically reuse the music over and over again on that show too. But it worked, you know. But yeah. But wow, Nichols, he worked on Johnny Quest. Look at that. He did a ton of stuff here. So rest in peace.
Yep.
All right. But Troy, I thought most of the old crew from Hanna-Barbera Animation were all gone. Well, sadly, maybe with he they are. Jessica Hardo. Whenever these old performers die, William Shatner gets their quickening. Funny, man.
That is funny.
All the immortals are working in Hollywood television of the 60s and 70s, and they're just gonna,
Yeah, exactly.
Another animation death too. Barry Caldwell, 69. Beloved
Yeah.
animator and storyboard artist Barry Caldwell has died, according to reports. Further details of the veteran animator's death remain unclear. Caldwell, who worked for both Warner Brothers Animation and Disney over the course of his acclaimed career, was behind numerous popular children's films and television shows. His impressive list of credits include Animaniacs, which aired on Fox between 1993 and 1994, and Pinky and the Brain, which ran for 3 years following its 1995 debut. He also was part of the animation team for the 2006 animation Curious George and the 2011 Easter comedy film Hop. Other projects that led him to notoriety in the industry include his work as a storyboard artist on The Smurfs, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Clifford the Big
Yeah.
Red Dog, Kim Possible, and Tom and Jerry. Caldwell's death was announced by fellow digital creator Paul Dini, who described his late friend as admired and celebrated. Paul Dini, of course, was a big writer on Batman the Animated Series.
Right.
So it's sad. We're losing the greats. I'm telling you, we're losing all the legends. And Geek Flag says, "My God, he looks like my dad."
Yeah.
Maybe your dad had a
Yeah,
secret
I
career
can
you
see
didn't
it.
know about. No, I'm kidding.
Right,
I'm
right,
just kidding. I'm just
exactly.
kidding. Rest in peace. But those were some great cartoons too. So it's like
Wait a minute. What are you saying, Nate? Are you saying you all look alike? Is that what you're saying? I'm sorry. I couldn't pass that one up.
Here's the boomer sigh for the night. Anyway,
Right.
but Barry was admired, celebrated, and loved by almost everyone, myself included, for many mere reasons that I can list here. Paul Dini concluded. Gonna miss you, Pally. Okay.
Yeah.
So rest in peace. Okay, our first article of the night. See what the image there?
Yeah, no money. You're broke. You are broke.
Sony announces price rises for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro, and PlayStation Portal. Okay, Sony has announced price rises for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro, and PlayStation Portal, blaming continued pressure in the global economic landscape. The price rises, which come into effect on April 2nd, 2026, were a necessary step to ensure we can continue delivering innovative, high-quality gaming experiences to players worldwide, Isabel Tamada said. I'm sure that doesn't include Concord. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that pop out of my mouth. I'm sorry. Vice President Global Marketing, Sony Interactive Entertainment, said in a post on the PlayStation blog, with continued pressures in the global economic landscape, we made the decision to increase the prices of the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 5 Pro, and the PlayStation Portal remote player globally, Tamada said. We know that the price changes impact our community, and after careful evaluation, we found this was a necessary step to ensure we can continue delivering innovative, high-quality gaming experiences to players worldwide. The update recommends retail prices for PS5 consoles are effective starting April 2nd, 2026. Y'all have a couple days to make a decision if you're going to get these for the price they are now. PlayStation 5. Now, it doesn't say PlayStation 5 Slim, but I'm assuming that's what this is. I think the Slim model replaced the old model. It's just like a smaller version of it. I'm assuming that's what this is. But regular PlayStation 5 will increase to $649.99. PlayStation 5 Digital Edition, $599.99. PlayStation 5 Pro, $899.99. I want to reiterate that the PlayStation 5 Pro does not come with a separate disc drive. It is an all-digital console. You can buy a disc drive add-on for it for another $79.99. I believe that's the price.
And you could buy the electric cord separately, and you can buy different colored boxes for it, and you could buy each one of your controllers separately.
Yeah, well, the controllers are kind of pricey.
Right.
Okay, and of course they have the UK prices on here as well. Updated recommendations. Retries remote player is effective starting April 2nd as follow. $249.99 for the remote player. I don't really know what that is. I'm assuming it's like a device that you can stream your games from your console to and play it on the go if you want to turn it on and play it in the bedroom on a portable device, which is kind of neat. But Sony last hiked the price of the PS5 in the US in August of last year when it confirmed $50 price increase for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Digital Edition, PlayStation 5 Pro. The standard PS5 with a disc drive is now a whopping $100 more expensive, as is the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition. Now, I had seen on PlayStation, I think Sony Direct or PlayStation Direct, where you buy directly from them on Friday, Saturday. They did have the Fortnite bundle, which came with the disk drive for the Slim 1 TB for $449.99, which is probably the cheapest it'll ever be. I think it is now since sold out. You can still get the digital edition for $399.99, which I believe you can still attach a disk drive to it later on if you so choose. But where to buy the PS5 before the price hike? I love it when they announce this stuff in the article. Let people find it out for themselves, people. So yeah, the PlayStation 5 has gone up in price. I'm now worried that now the Nintendo Switch 2 will probably also have a price hike. I heard it argued too that Sony knew this was going to happen, but they were able to forestall it by a few months, whereas Xbox got caught with their pants down, and that's why their consoles went up so much last year. So the price hikes are happening. Geek Flag, I see where you stand. Anyway,
So
I
did
want to give
Jesse-
Sony credit for at least giving a warning. I think a bigger warning would have been better, but at least they gave us a few days if you really wanted one to go out and get one at the standard price. So, yes.
I
Go
love that Jesse Guajaro says, Troy, my reaction to the price increase was the Charlie Brown, ah!
Like I said, Jesse, you could probably still find it certain places. I wish I'd gotten to you sooner about the Fortnite bundle, which you could still get at the Black Friday price on PlayStation Direct. You could still go on the site and look. Maybe it's back on there. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what version you were planning to get to, if you were planning on getting the Pro or not. But everything's going up in price, and we're all being priced out of this hobby. And I don't know if this is because of the DRAM shortage, if this is because of other components, because of the AI race. I know Smash JT, he had a comment that this is the Concorde tax for them losing so much money on Concorde. I don't know that that's the case, but maybe it was a factor.
That could be
You never
part
know.
of it. I mean, it does.
Because they made some dumb decisions. By the way, that'll be probably we talk about next week. Apparently, Fortnite, the game they're all trying to copy and make money off of, is apparently not doing well right now.
No.
So,
WDW Pro just did a video about it. You can check that out, talking about that. I actually haven't even watched the video yet. It just came up very, very recently. What happened? You still with us, Boomer? Did we just lose Boomer? Because I'm not hearing you. Yep. No, you know what? There's more to it than that, Nate. Yes, I agree with you. They are probably, and this is what business is supposed to be. You try to get as much as you can out of it. But going back to what Jesse was saying, a big part of this is that RAM has gotten so expensive because there's a run on it. It's just simple supply and demand, and there is not enough supply to meet the demand of all of these, big data farming AI. So again, this goes back to your whole problem with, Elon charging you for Grok AI. Well, that's because we've created this bottleneck of technology and having to pay for it. And the people using AI are going to pay for it. The people that are just simply using electricity are going to be paying for it. And the people buying these consoles are going to be paying for it. And yes, it's probably going to affect the PC users as well.
And I think it's still like a holdover from COVID, because you couldn't get them then too.
Well, in fairness, that was a whole... This timing is just killer, because we never did, as an economy and as the infrastructure of supply from overseas has never truly recuperated from what we did to our economy during that period. So this is it's more. So what I'm getting at is it is more than just greed.
So, can you hear me now? Okay.
I can hear you now.
I went silent there for a second. I was supposed to be using something that's an improvement, but we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, maybe we need to get a new modem. More on that in a little bit, for as far as modems go.
Anyway, there you go. Yeah.
But
I love how you tie all this stuff together.
I'm just saying, though, with me, though, I want to explain to you, but I was actually very reluctant last console generation to get involved, and then I did, and they were all good consoles. I got a PlayStation 4 Pro. I decided to get the higher end of the last gen. Okay, the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it was $399.99, and it came with Spider-Man. Okay,
Nice. Yeah.
and it's funny because I even got a I got a 2 terabyte internal hard drive to put in there because I knew that the 1 terabyte it came with wasn't going to be enough for me. And then of course, not long after I put the 2 terabyte in there and I start downloading some of my digital games, I think it was Final Fantasy 12 or Final Fantasy 15 or whatever it was, and I download it and suddenly my 2 terabyte is filled up and I'm like, what the hell, what is going on here? And then I learned out later on that apparently these digital downloads are taking a lot more space than the ones from the PlayStation 3 generation. But luckily, Sony had a solution to that. You could get an external hard drive, plug it in, and run the games off of that. But you can't do that on modern consoles on either the new Xbox or the PlayStation. You can't run the games off of an external. You have to get the internal specialty memory, which is very expensive. That's what basically made me decide to bow out. Because I almost got one of these PlayStation 5s. I was so close because I thought, $449.99. That's probably as good as it's going to get. But you know what? I have a PlayStation 4. There's still games coming out for the PlayStation 4. There's still games coming out for the Nintendo Switch even. That new Castlevania is apparently coming out on the Switch. Hopefully it doesn't run like crap. That's my only worry. But
Right.
Boomer, you're 5x5. Is that good?
Yes, that means you're
Okay.
coming in clearly. Exactly.
PS4 oldie but goodie. But anyway, but you can't even buy a PS4 anymore. That's the thing. So I get for the kids out there, they want to get a game console. It's not like they can buy the last model unless they get it refurbished. And even then, you're taking a risk. I would also argue, Jesse, if you buy a refurbished model off of from PlayStation directly, I can't speak to Sony, but I know when I would buy a refurbished thing from Nintendo, it was like buying a brand new console because they actually, it's not like buying it from like a GameStop. They actually have the parts there internally and they fix it up right. So that might be another option for you if you were to try buying a refurbished directly from Sony. But don't quote me on this because do your research if you still want to go down this path. Moving on to Nintendo. Nintendo is making a huge change to Switch 2 game pricing. Collectors will hate. The Nintendo Switch 2 has been a contentious console ever since launch. It's more like a hybrid because it's really a portable. Sure, you could play games you don't own with friends thanks to GameShare, but the console's performance leaves the original Switch in the dust. Yeah, that's a good thing. It actually is powerful for what it is. But the games on the Switch 2 are more expensive than analogous Switch versions. Prices are about to get worse for Switch 2 owners, but only if they prefer to collect physical titles. Nintendo recently announced that starting in May, titles exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2 will be priced differently depending on whether players are purchasing a digital edition, digital, or a physical copy.
Where you don't own anything. Exactly. I know what you're talking about.
Now, I don't think that they're referring to the, what do you call it? The game key cards in this instance, because the game key cards are the cards you buy which have no game on them and they just download the game. I think they're talking about the actual cartridges Nintendo releases themselves, which have the games on them. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is an upcoming one. You can pre-order a digital version of the game for $59.99. But if you want a physical copy, the pre-order price jumped to $69.99. To add insult to injury, this rule might only apply in the United States, as Wario64 makes career out of tracking games and sales. Noted that Amazon UK is pre-selling physical copies of the game for the equivalent cost. No, sorry, UK will get screwed on this too. Maybe not right away, but they will. But I think Nintendo made the argument that they're not raising prices. I heard that on some stream, and I already know what the answer to that is. We're not raising the price on physical games. We're lowering the price of digital games.
Yeah.
We were always going to sell the game at $69.99, and before we scream at Nintendo for the $6.99 price point, I don't like it. I don't like buying games at $70. I think I've only done it once in my lifetime. And but the trouble with the $69.99 game is that it became a standard on a lot of the other consoles like PlayStation 5 and Xbox. That was actually EA. Now, Nintendo were the wonderful people that gave us the first $79.99 game with the Mario Kart game they released.
Right.
But Titles like Kirby Air Riders, Pokemon Pokopia are $69.99. So Nintendo would argue they're giving you a break on the digital edition. What do you think?
I think if you, I think there's a sucker born every minute, and people that continue to defend this kind of marketing, you know, there's a sucker born every minute, and you might be one.
Used to be able to get a GameCube back in the day for $99.99, and Player's Choice games would be $19.99. Well, things have changed a lot over the years. Anyway, moving on to, and Nintendo has apparently cut Switch 2 production by 30%. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I think I was originally going to cut this one. After weak holiday sales, that's Bloomberg saying this. I also would argue that I think they realized that the big purge of the diehards they bought, they were going to buy, and now they should slow it because I guess the sales have now tapered off. Of course, I don't know. They are now the cheapest option in town until they raise their own prices again, which will happen probably.
Right.
So, wonderful, wonderful world we're living in. I will say some good things about Nintendo. I like the fact that their storage medium is still micro SD cards. I mean, I'm sure those are going up in value too, but it's simpler than the options Sony and Microsoft have. But again, I don't like this whole game key card nonsense. I've never liked it. If I buy a game, it needs to be on the actual cartridge, not be a mere download key. That's ridiculous.
Right.
There's no advantage. I must just download it. Apple. Wow, Apple's in the news too. Look at this.
Yeah.
Discontinues the Mac Pro with no plans for future hardware. It's the end of an era. Apple has confirmed the 9-to-5 Mac. That Mac Pro is being discontinued. It had been removed from Apple's website as of Thursday afternoon. The buy page on Apple's website for the Mac Pro now redirects to the Mac homepage, where all references have been removed. Apple has confirmed 9-to-5 Mac that has no plans to offer future Mac Pro hardware. I'm going to end up on a Linux-based PC at some point. I know this will happen to me at some point.
Honestly, everybody keeps saying that, and it so rarely does truly happen, but yeah.
I don't like Windows. I don't like it. But anyway, the Mac Pro has lived many lives over the years. I think this was the version of the Mac I could never afford. This was the professional one, right?
I was going to ask you. I didn't really know what this was.
Yes, $6,999 price point. When even as Apple debuted the M3 Ultra chip in Mac Studio last year. Well, people don't want to spend $7,000 on a computer.
Imagine that.
With that in mind, the Mac Studio is clearly set up for the Pro Desktop Mac of the future Apple's lineup. Mac Studio can be configured with the M3 Ultra chip and 32-bit core CPU and any core GPU paired with 256 GB of unified memory, 16 TB of SSD storage. I like the 16 TB of SSD storage. That's nice.
Yeah.
If the PlayStation 4 had come with half of that, I would have happily bought one. But anyway. Or PlayStation 5, I should say. To me, this is the strongest Mac lineup in years. Blah, blah. Okay. Any thoughts on this before we move on?
I don't have a dog in this particular hunt. I don't know anything about this.
If I was a rich man, I would buy fancy Macs for my house, but I don't, and I usually just stick with laptops at the time. But who knows what I'll be doing next time around because everything's going up in price. In fact, what I'm using now, I bought because I wanted to get one in fear of the terrorists, which was good that I bought it when I did because apparently my old Mac is chugging along. It's like I got to start bringing these things by the Mac store to see if they could fix them and make them brand spanking new. FCC just banned the sale of new Wi-Fi router models made outside United States. Wow.
Well, let's get into why.
Okay, in a shocking move, the Federal Communication Commission just banned the sale of any new Wi-Fi routers that are not U.S. made, citing national security. Late on Monday afternoon, the FCC announced the order based on a White House determination that foreign-made routers simply introduce supply chain vulnerabilities that hackers and cyber spies can exploit. Specifically, the Commission updated its covered list, which acts as a backlist of telecom equipment deemed to pose an unacceptable risk to U.S. national security, and now includes all consumer-grade routers produced in foreign countries. However, the FCC stresses this action does not affect any previously purchased consumer-grade routers. Consumers can continue to use any router they have readily, lawfully purchased or acquired, nor does it prevent retailers from continuing to sell, import, or market router models through the FCC's equipment authorization process. The CAT blocks vendors from selling any new Wi-Fi routers manufactured outside the United States in a major way. It's a new router designed in the U.S. Router vice versa would be bad.
Is anyone else realizing how ironic it is that as he's talking about routers, he's roboting out because his Wi-Fi is failing him?
We need a new router at my house, I think. But my brother it's supposed to be a fix.
Well,
okay. For now, robot again.
Yep.
I'll switch to a different route. He is ending the ban through its equipment and authorization process, which certifies routers, smartphones, and video game consoles for sale in the United States. New devices on the cover list, such as foreign-made consumer-grade routers, are prohibited from receiving FCC authorization, or therefore prohibited from being imported for use in the sale of the U.S. It says. Did they discover something about these routers?
Yes. Yeah. See, and they're realizing this with a lot of the stuff that's coming over from China. There was a guy that was screwing around with the. He has like a Roomba that's got a camera on it, and he wanted to see if he could hack into it to kind of like use it as a remote viewing in his house. He realized he could hack into all of the computers or all of the Roombas that had this, and he could literally spy into people's houses and stuff. And it kind of, when he brought this up and said, hey, this could be a problem, they realized this might very well have been a very intentional thing that was done by the manufacturers of these products. So, surprise!
Why do you need a camera on your Roomba?
I don't know, so that you can see underneath your sofa. I actually see that as being an actual legitimate reason to have that. I mean, I can't get down on the ground to look for something under the couch, but I can send a Roomba underneath to scope it out for me.
Or your wife.
Or, well, there's going to come a point where you're not going to be able to either, sweetie. So let's,
Hush your mouth.
I'm just saying. But yeah, you got to understand that there are, when you have another country making your technology for you, they don't always have your best interests in mind, or our country's in mind. Just saying. So there's a legitimate reason for the government to say, yeah, no more of this. No more. So, there you go.
Netflix.
Yes, Netflix. What about them? The company that brought you Cuties.
Anyway, let me know if I robot again. I'll drop it out, but let me go ahead and read. Okay, so Netflix raises prices across all streaming plans. Netflix subscription just got a little more expensive. The streaming giant adjusted its pricing structure Thursday, with all subscription tiers rising at least $1. The company's ad-supported plan is now $8.99 a month, up from $7.99. The standard plan is now $19.99 a month, up from $17.99, and its premium plan is now $26.99, up from $24.99. Extra member pricing also increased, with ad-supported plans now costing $6.99 per additional non-household user, up from $5.99. The ad-free add-ons now costing $9.99, up from $8.99 each. I love the year 2026. Did I slip into an alternative timeline where everything got really awful? But people are starting to wonder that now.
People have been saying that for some time, actually. Did we slip in an
alternate universe, like starting in like 2014 or so, or it's like,
there's been a lot of speculation.
Or 2012, some guy said.
Yeah.
The price hike comes as Netflix had been investing heavily in its content, including new ventures into live event spaces and into video podcasts. The last time the company raised prices was January 2025. So at that time, Netflix was still poised to acquire Warner Brothers. Well, they're not doing that anymore. So,
True.
So how about this? You gonna pay the extra dollar?
I don't. I do not. I don't do Netflix. They don't get any of my money.
Well,
Well,
then how on
every
earth
now
are you
and
gonna?
again, every now and again, I will buy some of their physical media. We'll be talking about that in just a moment too. But other than
Well, I
that,
was gonna
no.
say, how are you? Else are you gonna watch Stranger Things when you want to watch a repeat? And I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, that sounds like a pivot. Let's get into that.
Look at this beautiful set, huh? You see this?
Yeah.
And it's interesting who's releasing it too. Stranger Things fans will soon have permanent access as a full DVD sale is now available for pre-order. Stranger Things, the complete series, comes in Blu-ray and 4K Ultra HD editions. This collection includes all 5 seasons of the hit show, which totals 25 discs. It'll be available at brick and mortar and online retailers beginning July 28th. Prices range from $200 to $260. It's actually cheaper on Amazon, just so you know. Okay.
Okay.
To that end, there's a deluxe edition available for true diehards. This includes the complete series, of course, but also bonus content like bloopers, interviews with the cast and crew, and various behind-the-scenes featurettes. It also comes with a bunch of doodads like self-adhesive Hellfire Club patch.
Oh,
you
neat.
you could put it on your thing. I think it's like around $150 on Amazon for pre-order. 5 posters, 25 smaller art cards, a fold-out map of Hawkins, and a branded 20-sided die. I think I know what my sister might be getting for her birthday this year. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, there you go.
She got the X-Files set, too. I got that for 1 year, the complete X-Files series, which is good I got it for because now it's a collectible. Because they don't make it anymore because Disney bought out Fox and they didn't stop manufacturing it. But that's okay. I have my whole series of the X-Files on Vudu, and I'm sure nothing will ever happen to it, right?
Yeah, well.
To that end, so anyway, there's also a collector's box, and each season comes in a reversible sleeve with new artwork. Finally, this edition ships with a large art book that continues original design, sketches, concept art, storyboards, and more. Pretty cool, comprehensive package. And I'll tell you this, I don't think that the collector's edition, at least on Amazon versus the regular edition, I don't think there's a huge price difference because of the weird pricing Amazon has right now. So if you want to get the collectors, you can. Some people like getting standard editions of things, though. I get that, where they don't like the doodads and the knickknacks. But this looks pretty sweet. And I know you had mentioned, should I get rid of my old sets? But remember how we had that article a while back where they went back and changed a few things in the original seasons, right?
That is a
minor
an
things,
excellent
but
point.
yeah,
I hadn't really considered that. That's true,
those
but
might be collectibles.
and honestly, when I see originally, I thought $200 for this. I'm not sure that's worth it, but $150, and there's a lot of really great little extras that go with it. You are
Let
getting
me go
some
on
value.
Amazon real quick. You bear with me a moment. I'll find out what the price is for this.
Yeah. And considering that this is basically done and over with, regardless of how you feel about how they wrapped it up, it is wrapped up now. It's not going to get any worse. I had a lot of fun with it. I might want to get this, although I suppose I probably want to do it sooner than later if I want to get it at that price. Am I right?
Well, it's not coming
that?
out until July, so you can always wait, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere because it's going to be a hot seller. The collector's edition might disappear, but there'll still be the standard edition. Right now, the deluxe edition is $162.49 at Amazon. Let me see what the regular one is too, and they don't have it on DVD. It's either Ultra or regular Blu-ray. But let's see here, Stranger Things. Give me a moment here while I look that up. I'm just curious what Amazon... And who knows, they may have deals on it come Black Friday as well. You never know, might even have it for less than that. Because I don't think... oh, look at that. If you just want to get the standard edition without the frills, $129.99 on Amazon. That's not a bad price.
I don't know, though. For that extra $25, I think it might be worth it for all that other... cool stuff.
I mean, you get the DVDs, you just don't get the extra frilly stuff like the art book and things like that. But I don't know. Regardless, it's a great way to own physical media, and as of course we've said, we've said own physical media. Our big complaint about Netflix is they never release anything physical, but somehow this has happened. They're working with
Right.
Arrow Video, a British DVD and Blu-ray producer who are very good. I like them a lot. I buy a lot of their DVDs. That Excalibur special edition that came out recently, that came out from Arrow Video. They do
Right.
very nice jobs with their re-releases. They make sure they look good, they sound good. So um, you're not going to really lose out by getting this from Arrow. This is probably the best. This is the best case scenario for Stranger Things physical release. See, I'm not always negative. This is actually good news for once.
No, no, yeah, and from a marketing standpoint, I think this is kind of brilliant because it's DVD. It's not like VHS or something, but the whole idea of the nostalgia of physical media, they want to play into that with Stranger Things if they're wise.
The only thing I bought with Netflix on it was the Stranger Things toys to go with Jurassic World toy diorama as background characters.
Oh, interesting. I've done that too. I've bought toys from different toy lines just to be filler background characters. I do that from time to time too because let's face it, we're weirdos, folks.
It's a nice set though, and even at $129.99, if you wanted to own this, that's good. And 160, and they may have it cheaper other places. Oh, no. Can we go back? I just go back and
Oh
see on the last
gosh,
one.
here we go. Here we go.
Okay, I almost felt like doing a presentation on just this whole thing in general. First off, I want to talk to Warner Brothers and explain something to them. The Lord of the Rings is not a franchise. Stop acting like it is. It is a piece of
Right.
English literature. It is a single story. I know it was a trilogy, but to be honest with you, Tolkien wanted to release it as one volume when he wrote it. They just didn't have.
Right.
There were paper shortages after the war. That's why they released it as 3 separate volumes. And I'm sorry, it's The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And I
that's
know
it.
there are other works Tolkien worked on, but he never even published those in his lifetime. I'm tired of
Right.
this. They think they can make a cinematic universe or expand a universe out of this. It's
Out
not
of
going to
every
happen.
well, they can do that with everything. Everything is meant to be a machine for cranking out money. And look, even if everything was a machine for cranking out money, for crying out loud, treat it as such. Be kind to it. Understand what you have, and don't kill the golden goose, which is what they're doing over and over and over again.
Um, they keep thinking that they're going to release these things like a Gollum movie and other things, and that they're going to do
Yeah.
Boko box office, despite the fact that there's no evidence. And I want to cite a couple things. One, Lord of the Rings as a movie series, it's kind of old right now. It came out in the early aughts. We're well over
Right.
20 years after it came out. Secondly, I know you had the Hobbit prequel. Hobbit's not a prequel, but that's how it felt like when I was watching it. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and and then you have that animated anime movie they released, which did nothing. That was
Right.
a fart in the wind, if you'll pardon the expression. And well, it was animated. We weren't expecting it to make a lot of money, except that anime films nowadays actually do very well at the box office. So
Right.
you're wrong. I think they're betting on this stuff, and I don't think it's going to pay off. But what do they do, though? What's the big announcement, though? New Lord of the Rings movie from Stephen Colbert. I thought this was a troll. I thought this was like an AI fake story someone was trolling the internet with. I didn't
Right.
think this was real. I still don't believe this. Warner Brothers has revealed that Stephen Colbert and his son are developing a brand new Lord of the Rings movie. The announcement came Tuesday night via the studio's various social media accounts. The video announced opened with Lord of the Rings director Peter Jackson. Yeah, that is Peter Jackson on the call. Giving a quick update about the next film in the franchise, Andy Serkis, The Hunt for Gollum. Jackson said of the project, which is set for release in 2027, Andy is doing a terrific job. It's looking amazing. The script is coming together really well, and I think it's going to be a really good film. Well, I hope it's better than his Animal Farm movie he's making. Jackson then teased his very special partner who will help develop the next film after The Hunt for Gollum, titled The Lord of the Rings Shadows of the Past. That partner is none other than the Late Show host Colbert, who Jackson patched it through a video called Colbert, a vocal Tolkien fanatic, then explained that the plot of his movie will come from a chapter of the Fellowship of the Ring that didn't make it in the Jackson's 2001 adaptation. Now, I don't know why this isn't like a renowned fantasy author maybe working on this script. Wouldn't that make more sense?
One would think.
Heck, even having like J.K. Rowling popping on, or well, I guess Neil Gaiman's out of fashion right now.
You can't do that because because she had bad think, and can't have that.
And even though George R. R. Martin would be a bad fit for Lord of the Rings too, he's at least a fantasy writer. Like I would expect, like someone in the field who really writes fantasy fiction to be the one you would have crafting your screenplay if there's even a reason to do that, which there isn't. And this is Stephen Colbert, who, if he has any writing credits, I think he might have done a couple graphic novels that were comedic. I don't know what his pedigree is for this, and not to mention the fact that I can't stand the man. But even if it was a guy like David Letterman from back in the day, or Jay Leno, I still wouldn't pick them to write a Lord of the Rings movie, and I didn't have as much a problem with them as Stephen Colbert. He even speaks and reads. To be fair, Stephen Colbert is a noted expert. He even speaks and reads Elf. Well, okay, maybe he is a Lord of the Rings fanatic. I don't know. He is not who I would have picked. And he said in the interview that he says, well, you kind of skipped over this huge part in Lord of the Rings, and I thought that could be a movie. And I guess that would be the stuff with Tom Bombadil. And
I can't see that becoming a whole movie in and of itself. That's not standalone. It actually, the reason it was left out was because it was like, this is not necessary to the plot at all.
It would throw the pacing of the movie off. And to be fair, Jackson said in the interviews, look, there's no saying that they didn't have those adventures and scenes that were maybe cut out.
Right.
But they just didn't make it into the movie. Like, he's not saying that those events didn't happen in the context of the movie, just that it's for pacing issues and the fact that the movie was already well over 3 hours long. We just couldn't include that stuff. And I get that. And I'm getting Lord of the Rings fatigue, and I feel bad because that's not a derision against J.R. Tolkien or his great novel or The Hobbit, because those are timeless classics and they always will be. I think maybe it's this Hollywood treatment from Amazon's disastrous series to this Warner Brothers now trying to make into a film franchise. I'm just leave it alone for a while. And there are other fantasy books out there. There are other great epics out there you could be adapting into movies that by other writers, and maybe
I would argue there are some that it's criminal that have not been done yet, but that's a whole other topic to get into someday.
And maybe just give it a rest. You did a good job with the first trilogy, at least that's my opinion. Some people have different ones. Hobbit, I'd love for you to go back and do The Hobbit correctly, but that won't happen. So let's just move on.
Well, but honestly, there is a fan edit out there that takes those 3 movies, chops it down into one, and it is a much, much more faithful adaptation. Fans should not have to do that, but they do, and it exists.
Do you know that the Rankin Bass Hobbit, as it exists now, is missing sound cues because they lost recordings?
Really?
But old VHS copies still exist. Guys, you could get some sound engineer, get a student interning, and you could recreate those sounds and put them back in. Don't tell me you couldn't do that with the technology we have now, especially with AI. Maybe there's something you could use AI to do.
Dude, I literally just posted to my Star Wars group on MeWe. I posted a part 2, actually, of AI generated footage for a live action treatment of Heir to the Empire that's pretty damn good. It's amazing. And I'm telling you, Hollywood had better start making the stuff people want to see, or they're going to do it themselves, and Hollywood's going to make nothing off of it. You're going to be left holding an empty bag.
I do want to address this comment from Geek Flag. Now, I will say this, Geek Flag. In the case of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, these classics will always be classics. They cannot destroy them. They're always going to be around. The original version is always going to be around. I don't care if the publisher decides to go in and start hacking up the language. There are enough copies of Lord of the Rings out there in circulation. We won't be losing the original text, okay? They cannot destroy these original works.
John
But I see
Solo
what you're saying.
just-
It's annoying.
John Solo just did a video about the Roald Dahl's the BFG,
Awful.
Big Friendly Giant, and he was ripping that whole thing about going after the language in Roald Dahl's books and whatnot. And I don't know anything. Obviously, his channel is not politically based, and he
Right.
doesn't really talk about political things. I have my suspicions about what his politics are, but it doesn't matter, because to hear him, just ripping apart the most bizarre, ridiculous decisions about what to leave out, and he was like, there were some things that they wanted to edit that would have made a lot more sense than some of the stupid things they actually did. And he's like, it just hurts my brain. And I was just laughing so hard at some of the things he was saying. But I digress.
Yeah, I know we had done a story about that. They had tackled
Yes.
Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. I think they didn't want to call Augustus Gloop fat. I'm sorry, that's his character. He's gluttonous.
Right.
That's his flaw. Okay, that's the whole point.
Well, I love the thing about there's one thing in the BFG where part of the story is that these giants, these fantasy creatures that eat human beings, they are monsters, okay?
Yes.
They also happen to all be male because there are no female giants.
Right.
That whole reference was completely excised. And John Solo is looking at his camera like, right, because there's so many women that would be offended by the idea that they couldn't be cannibals themselves. What are we talking about here, people?
This is nonsense, and you're going after a writer's work after he's deceased. There has been a best part about a television version of Lord of the Rings is you could include everything from the book. Well, that's what I thought that Amazon was going to do when they got the Lord of the Rings license, and then I found out what they got was the appendices, because I thought they would have the rights, the television rights, to do a television adaptation of the original books, which I figured, okay, well, maybe they can do things that weren't done in the movie version, but that's not what we got.
Right.
So this is just ridiculous, and I'm sorry, Colbert. I don't know. I'm done. Not doing it.
See, just from a simple marketing standpoint, they haven't gotten the message yet. Certain people now have made themselves poison for box office. So even if he really is a true fan and all he's doing is producing it and putting up the money, there are people who will not see it because of him. And honestly, with a project that's got the margins that these kinds of big budget films have, it's gonna flop. It's gonna flop just because of that decision.
I don't know even if they had another writer on this. I don't even know if there's an audience for these movies, though, because I think they're acting like that Lord of the Rings was this hit franchise and series. It was back in the early 2000s, and
Yeah.
because the story was told, though. There's something left to tell. You did the 3 movies. You had a shot with The Hobbit. You messed it up, and now
Let's
here we
be
are.
clear about why it was a success in the first place. It did 2 absolutely crucial things. First, it didn't piss off the fans. It was absolutely true to, well, at least those first 3 movies were absolutely true, if abridged.
True to the spirit.
But even that was covered by footage that was added in the DVD releases. So
Yeah,
you didn't piss off the fans. You had all the fans on board. It was also an excellent epic film that non-fans could love and therefore become fans. This is the only way that you can have a success, and they keep shooting themselves in the foot every time by putting out crap that the average audience isn't interested in and pissing off the fans so they're not interested either. So who the hell is your audience?
Also, Peter Jackson, what are you doing right now? This is what you want to do? Seriously? You didn't have other movies you wanted to make? Other series? Like, I don't he's now stuck here as this producer guy on this, and
It's actually.
I don't understand
in a lot
this.
of ways, I feel it's a little bit sad because he has become known only for Lord of the Rings, and he's done a lot of stuff before Lord of the Rings that you all probably don't even realize.
He did Dead Alive.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
ever see Dead Alive?
Mm-hmm.
That's a wacky zombie movie. I believe that there is a zombie in that. Let's just say it's based on a part of the human anatomy that emits gas, and that's all it is, right? It's just there's some whacked out stuff in Dead Alive, and maybe make a horror movie, Peter Jackson. Maybe that's what you needed to do. Go back into horror for a bit and try your hand at that.
He also did The Frighteners, if you remember that. He
Kind
did
of a horror
from
movie, too.
1996. Yeah. He did The Lovely Bones. That's a good movie too. King Kong from 2005. It actually was a pretty good interpretation of King Kong. I loved that. They Shall Not Grow Old documentary. The Beatles Get Back 2021. We talked about that as well. So he was a producer on District 9. Really, he's.
I like District 9.
He needs to be making. He needs to get past Lord of the Rings. He's crippling himself with the success he's had in the past.
A long time ago, I had a friend who was making an animated version of Lord of the Rings. He was using Photoshop, but unfortunately, his laptop and all his stuff was lost back in 2012.
Oh,
it's
that's
tough.
killer.
Always back up your stuff when you're working on that.
You
but I
know,
it's hard.
it's funny that brings up going back to gaming real quick. You know, I've talked about this a bunch of times that I've been playing Fallout recently. A lot. I've been playing Fallout a lot. And I was doing this thing. I had just done a mission. I was getting ready to go on another one. It involved a long walk. You can't, fast travel to some place you haven't been to before. So I had to get there. I got there. I got into this fight, and I got stuck in the terrain. You know how that works. And you can't fast travel because there's enemies around. And I couldn't do anything else. So I had to go back to my last save, and it was way, way back. And I was like, damn, I got to do this all over again. And Netter just looks at me and goes, Troy, you've got to play your video games the way Jesus would, because Jesus saves. And I'm like,
appropriate
so I
for
start.
the season.
Yeah, so then I go back and I start, and I'm like, I got like this gag from the Viva La Dirt League. I take 2 steps, quick save. Take 2 more steps, quick save. Take 2 more steps, quick save.
Just don't quick save as you're falling off a cliff.
Yeah. There's certain places you don't want to quick save because then you can't go back to. But yeah, anyway. Yes, Jesse Guajardo, you're absolutely right. Netter is the best.
This is why I always love Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. I'll have to do a good old days on that sometimes, because when you would fall off the cliff in that game, you could use the Sands of Time to retrace your steps. It was a game mechanic in the game.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So we do have a special from the Geezer Geezette. It's an underground newspaper some of you may not know about. But
yes.
This is written by a friend of the channel, Geek Flag with Nate Knows. He's the writer
Regular
of this article.
contributor, absolutely.
Yes. So I'll read this article to you. The DCU Shell Game, Why the Supergirl Math Doesn't Add Up. And I have to say, this is better written than the articles we usually read on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
The DCU Shell Game.
Sometimes not a high bar, though.
That's true. Maybe that's not so much a compliment. The DCU Shell Game, Why the Supergirl Math Doesn't Add Up. So contributor Nate Knows, March 28th, 2026. Silver Springs. What is MD? Is that Maryland?
Yeah.
Okay, Silver Springs, Maryland. Take it from someone who remembers when a blockbuster meant something. The current smoke and mirrors coming out of DC Studios is getting harder to ignore as we crawl toward the June 26th release of Supergirl. Tomorrow, James Gunn and the Warner Brothers executives are busy playing a high-stakes game of hide the budget. But some of us are still paying attention to the receipts. Under the Superman precedent, we've seen this movie before. Last year, the narrative was that the Superman reboot was a lean, mean, $225 million production. Then the truth leaked. When the Ohio tax filings hit the light of day, The gross spend was revealed to be at a staggering $363.8 million. Despite the quote-unquote success of headlines, we now know that thanks to executives being grilled under oath in Congress, that the movie underperformed. Now the studio is singing the same tune with Supergirl. They're floating net budget of $130 million to make it look like they found religion on spending. But if history is any guide, that's just creative accounting. Once you factor in gross spend before UK tax rebates and a massive marketing push, this thing is likely sitting at $200 million plus pile of debt before the first ticket is even sold. It's not just the ledger that looks shaky, it's the visuals. The first leaked images of Jason Momoa as Lobo didn't exactly scream intergalactic main man. To be blunt, it looks like bad cosplay. We're talking Spirit Halloween wigs and a chalky makeup job that wouldn't pass muster at a local... sorry. So it wouldn't pass muster. While the official January teaser tried to hide the seams with the shadows and visual effects, normies aren't biting, and the fans are already smelling a biting, and the fans are already smelling a disaster. If you're going to charge 2026, I may smell a disaster. Sorry, I got a little up there. I don't know though. I think that the Lobo thing is that's just for the set. They're going to fix it in post, right?
Have they ever? They usually don't. I mean, they say they're going to. They usually don't. And I'll tell you something else about this. A lot of the complaints that people have been making about James Gunn is that everything is let's get everyone hyped for the next thing. So throw all these characters in, that are setting stuff up for the next thing we want you to consume, and people are going, no, just make the Superman movie, make it a good Superman movie. Otherwise, we're not going to be interested in whatever else it is you're trying to feed us. And they're doing the same thing here with Supergirl.
Anyway, under sandbagging strategy, though, here's my prediction for the home stretch. Watch the expert projections right now. They've got the opening weekend pegged at a safe 50 to 60 million. But mark my words, 2 weeks before opening day, the studio will leak a revised tracking number as low as 30 million. Why? Because when inevitably opens at 70 million, they can claim a surprise hit and doubled expectations. It's a move straight out of the PR playbook to move the goalposts and hide mediocre opening. And the reality is this movie has a domestic ceiling of $375 million. Even that is being generous, with Toy Story 5 and Spider-Man 4 sucking the air out of the room, and a general audience that currently doesn't give a damn. Supergirl is flying into a storm. You can hide the budget and you can sandbag the projections, but at the end of the day, the box office doesn't lie. James Gunn might be talking a big game, but from where I'm sitting, the DCU is still looking for a win it hasn't earned yet. I think this movie is not going to do well because it's another girl boss movie and they don't do well.
Yeah.
Am I wrong here?
And again, there's girl boss movies and there's girl boss movies. We have talked about this over and over and over again, where you have this whole crop of starlets who think they're the first females to ever lead films of any kind, and we point out, no, it's been done before and it's been done better. You need to be that good or you won't be successful, male or female. It doesn't matter the gender. Quality matters, gender doesn't.
I also want to make a point that if they wanted an audience to go see a Supergirl movie, if they had maybe shown her in this other Superman movie and had her be a likable character, then they could do a spin-off with her. Kind of like with Black Widow, where they introduced her in one of the Iron Man movies, and then people grew to like that character over time, and then they could give her a movie.
And let's keep in mind, too, that the most successful, spin-offs aren't planned spin-offs. This character was so freaking well received by audiences. Well, now we have to do that movie, Yes. And they did not set Supergirl up for that kind of success. They just didn't.
Well, thank you from our man in the field, Geek Flag of Nate Knows. All right.
Yep.
and we'll continue to keep an eye on this situation. I have to tell you though, I've forgotten about this movie.
Yeah.
I think the Lanterns trailer just kind of I'm just done. I'm done with DCU. And
For
you know
a lot
they're
of
killing
people,
off
that
Malcolm.
really sucked the air out of the room. For anyone who is still trying to defend, the general audience is going, yeah, no, you can have it. If that's your thing, fine, but we don't care.
Like you can make a Jon Stewart show without having to humiliate
Or kill
Hal
off.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Or kill off Hal Jordan, you know. And to say it's an effing squirrel like
Yeah.
I don't talk to aliens. Yes, he talks to aliens. I'm just moving on though.
Yep.
StarFleet Academy.
StarFEET Academy, yes. I think I swallowed my comm badge. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the doctor says, not already, right?
Yeah, as if this is something that's expected to happen. It's like, what is wrong with you? You know?
Do you remember
are you all mentally deficient?
Do you remember on TNG when Ensign Gomez, she splashed the hot chalk on Picard? It was this huge thing. Like, she was horribly embarrassed.
Right.
Like, this is not how a Starfleet officer behaves, you know? And, of course, Picard let it go. But it was... I had a point, like, on TNG, they explained that there was decorum.
Right.
Like, even later on in that episode, when she says,
In
I can't
fact,
stop thinking... Go
you
ahead.
even had an episode, well, a two-part episode that established that Captain Picard was actually pretty laid back in terms of Starfleet. Your average Starfleet captain didn't put up with the kind of stuff that Picard did.
Jellicoe would have beamed her out into space, or some kidding.
Well, something like that, yeah. It would have been like, you know what? You're relieved of duty. Get your head together, girl.
You know what would have been interesting, though, if Jellicoe had to do an intern thing or some swap thing on the Klingon ship, and one of the Klingons went to mess with him? I would have liked to have seen how that turned out. Right?
So you always see these kinds of things from the point of view of the characters you really know. It would be interesting to see a character like Jellicoe being put in command of a Klingon ship, and him being like, I don't think I can do what I would do on a Federation ship. Well, what would you do on a Federation ship? Well, I would dress this person down and relieve him of duty. And a Klingon would say, well, that's exactly what you do here, except you do it through corporal punishment. Oh, okay. Wham, bang, boom, ding, dong. Oh, I like the way you Klingons do these things.
See, there's your Star Trek movie where I had the idea that it would be interesting if they did a Star Trek movie about Federation people having to work on a Klingon ship for some kind of secret mission where the Klingons actually needed Federation help with something. And it could have been a Jellicoe or even a younger Jellicoe in his career, and just have him go aboard the ship and just see how he handles things.
Point,
that would have been interesting, yeah.
Something they've toyed with, especially like I'm thinking of B'Elanna Torres in a Voyager, right? Where you play around a little bit with racial and cultural stereotypes. I would love to see a character like B'Elanna Torres. Well, it would have to be not B'Elanna Torres. Though. It would have to be someone who is human. Who is just a spitfire. I don't care if it's Italian, Puerto Rican, whatever. And they just take to the culture, the Klingon things. And, this is just like, I don't think you should be talking about that. That's very culturally insensitive. It's my culture. Back off.
Well,
that would be so funny.
Then they're gonna take off their slipper and smack them upside the head.
Yeah. Oh God, could you see that? This little like Hispanic female officer go after the Klingon with like a shoe. And these humans are crazy. No, not humans, just Puerto Ricanos.
Oh, funny.
That would be awesome. That would be great. That's how you put some humor into your Star Trek. And not. I think I swallowed my comm badge. You really should be in a room with a helmet on.
Yeah,
you
'cause
know.
my thing is, how did your combat get in your mouth?
Exactly. Your fork needs to have a cork on it. Okay. I mean, this is
Well,
how.
well, this is what kills me about Discovery, though, because there were some interesting ideas in that first season of Discovery that, under better writers, could have worked. Like the idea of Michael Burnham, her name should have been Michelle or something else. I don't know why they insisted on calling her Michael.
Because it was
yeah,
they're trying to kill the whole gender.
It doesn't make any sense. Anyway,
No, it doesn't.
they could have I like the idea of her, maybe, okay, her parents were killed, they were on an Earth colony, her parents were killed by Klingons, she was adopted by a Vulcan family, which shouldn't have been Spock's family, that was stupid.
Yes,
but have it be another
exactly.
Vulcan family, and so she's raised on Vulcan, and she kind of adapts Vulcan logic techniques in her own mind, and I thought that was interesting. But then I got the impression that she had built up rage, and because she's not a Vulcan, she didn't have the practices to make her keep those emotions in check. So when she went to fight the Klingons, she went all rage on them, and that was an interesting idea they could have played with.
You could have explored, bigotry and animosity towards certain people because of an experience you've had with them. You could get a little bit preachy with it. That would be a great and interesting way to do it. That would be in keeping with how Star Trek is done, the kind of progressivism that they claim Star Trek has always had. But no, they don't have you have the level of intelligence of people who write, "I swallowed my comm badge." Oh, again? Okay, you're done. Just stop writing. Just quit. You're done.
So let me read this because we got to start speeding up here. But Paramount has confirmed that the divisive Alex Kurtzman Star Trek series will wrap with its second season, cutting short what was clearly intended to be a long-term project for the franchise. And despite the polished language coming from the studio, the reason behind this decision isn't hard to read. The show didn't connect, and more importantly, it didn't draw an audience. It said critics approved, audiences did. On paper, StarFEET Academy had the kind of support studios love to highlight. Critics largely give it a pass, but audiences told a different story. The show currently sits at 51% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes and 2% on critic list. Nielsen problem, Paramount can't ignore. If there's one data that cuts to the spin, StarFEET Academy still hasn't cracked the Nielsen top 10 streaming originals list. It was terrible. So yeah, it's only getting a season 2 because that's part of the contract, and they already shot it. So we are stuck with it. They're not going to make it a tax write-off, which I almost think they should. But it's too late for that now, I guess, because they showed the first season. And let me get into this one real quick, too. Paramount ends the best new Star Trek show after Backlash. What is this?
I saw this, and I laughed so hard.
Is this a bunch of nonsense?
This is just obvious. They're just making it obvious what shills they are. If you didn't know, it's obvious.
Yeah, so Star Trek StarFEET Academy sophomore will be its last. The newest installment is concluded at the end of its coming second season. News comes amidst upheaval at Paramount. Okay, according to reports, the series has been canceled at Paramount following its second season, which has already been filmed. Mm-hmm. But it goes on to what Star Trek Academy was about. But series producer Alex Kurtzman and Noga Landau shared a letter with the show's fans thanking their cast and crew for their dedication to the series. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is from Kurtzman. It's been my and Noga's joy and privilege to help carry Gene Roddenberry's extraordinary vision forward with StarFEET Academy.
Yeah, this was not Gene Roddenberry's vision.
Thanks to the hundreds of hardworking humans who poured every ounce of their talent to the work daily with imagination and reverence. We are in post-production now and will be the second and final season, but we saved so much on socks, I don't know why they couldn't agree to But we're so proud of what we've accomplished together on this show and the world we will get to see the work of these extraordinary artists when season 2 airs. We will finish strong. I don't think they're getting any more series.
No, they're absolutely not.
Whether you're working on Star Trek or part of Marvel's Star Trek fandom, it's very heart, soul, and conscious. The joy that comes from adventuring across boundaries of space, time, and human possibility in service to Roddenberry's transformative vision of the future. Is that why you had him blow up into bloody chunks? Yeah. Some character named Gene in one of the seasons of Discovery as a joke.
Exactly. See, people pick this stuff up and they're like, yeah, no. Sorry, you don't get to try and hawk that malarkey after what you did.
But yeah, but you can catch season 1 of Star Trek, StarFEET Academy streaming on Paramount. The good news is, what I'm hoping is this means Kurtzman is out.
It
Definitely,
really is
this show's
looking more and
canceled.
more like it is.
They are still going to try to get that remake, I assume, of the original Star Trek series with the new Kirk they had on Strange New Worlds. I'm hoping Paramount just
I
puts the
can
hammer
almost
down and says
guarantee
no.
you that Paramount has no interest whatsoever in that. It is not going to happen.
I can't imagine Kurtzman. Yeah, well, for starters, they can't. They could theoretically do stuff that's connected to all the old stuff, but they can't because it has to be 75% different. That's because of the contract that Kurtzman and Secret Hideout are under. And Bad
keep
Robot
in
and all
mind
that other
too.
crap.
Keep in mind too that they need it to be distinct if they're going to profit from it. If they use characters and likenesses and models and ships and backgrounds and stuff that were pre-established, they can't reap the financial benefits of that. They just can't.
Well,
That's
I
just
hope
how
that-
it works.
And I hope that Paramount will not be able to use anything they came up with in their stuff and start fresh, because Star Trek needs to go back to its roots and forget about this nonsense.
Well, that is the other side of it. That means if you don't contract with Kurtzman, none of Kurtzman that necessarily decanonizes anything they did before. They can't reference it again. And good.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about the burn again.
Right.
Because okay, moving on to, here we have Lego was in the news this week. This is our last article. Lego is wrapping up construction of what will become one of its first most significant global manufacturing hubs, with its Chesterfield County factory positioned to supply a large share of the North American market. This company plans to double its local workforce and begin building a large on-site solar park this summer, and the project moves closer to completion. The Danish toy maker broke ground on the more than $1.5 billion facility in Meadowville Technology Park in 2023. The 1.7 million square foot campus is expected to bring more than 1,700 jobs to the region and serve as a key production center for Lego's operations in the U.S. and beyond. Well, that's good. They're making it in America. Look at that.
Exactly.
And Lego plans to use...
there are financial benefits to doing that. Yes.
So when you buy Legos, you can say "Made in America." Look at that. The company says its workforce will nearly double over the next year. About 500 employees currently work across the project. Temporary facility, with that number expected to grow to 900 by the end of 2026 as Lego prepares for highly automated molding and packaging operations. Do you know what's funny? Do you know why I started getting into Legos again, or at least I was trying to? Because I was getting frustrated with modern game consoles, and I was like, what was my big hobby before I got into Nintendo? And I was like, oh, it was Legos. But then I find, as a middle-aged man, that I don't have the patience for these things that I had when I was like 10 years old. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, because I know you stayed consistent with your action figures, but I mean, that's not the same thing either. But whereas I moved on to other things, then you go back and you're like...
Legos are almost they're not just toys. When you're finished with them, you can treat them like toys.
Sure, you can.
But you have to build them in a kind of like puzzle kind of way.
Yes, and I thrived on that as a child.
Yeah, but I get where you're saying you lose patience with it as an adult. I get that.
Well, because it's funny, because after the flood, I had to build a lot of the furniture for our house. I had to, follow the instructions and put everything together. Right. And of course, I always cited, how did he get so good at building furniture? My family says, well, because I learned how to follow instructions by playing with Legos, and it's not a huge leap when you're putting together a cabinet or especially with some of these awful Chinese instructions, you can still follow along and figure out what you're doing. Right. But then when I went back to play the little sets, I'm like, wow, this is like me doing putting a chair together, but it's minuscule.
Yeah.
But I will put together my space sets over the summer. I promised I would do that for the library. I got a couple of retro space sets, so I will put those together. And so good on Lego though, and America Lego is cool, but so many things Lego became less creative than it was
It's
when I was a
funny
kid.
because it's almost, just I don't know, about 6 months ago, everyone was complaining up and down, especially in the Lego sphere, this is these what do you call it? These tariffs are going to make it impossible for us to be able to afford the Legos. This is terrible, blah, 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 blah. Well, gee, maybe they should make them in the United States. Oh, that's not how it's done. Well, guess what?
Now it's being done that way.
I wonder why. I wonder why.
Booger, I do want to recommend something to you, because you're saying American Lego is cool, but so many theme sets, less creative than it was when I was a kid. I want to recommend to you, Lego has a line called Creator Sets.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about the Creator Sets is they're not really based on licenses. They're sort of homages to some of the Legos you grew up with. And you can create, they come with instructions that allow you to create 3 things out of one set. So you can tear it down and build something else, and tear it out again and build something else. I got the haunted house one, which is pretty neat. And the haunted house you can later turn into a train station or a sailing ship with the monsters on it. So
that's kind of interesting.
Look into the Creator Sets. They have a pirate ship you could buy. I don't know if it's still on the market, where you could turn in different things. So that I think is more what harkens back to what you and I grew up with. So I would look into the Creator Sets they make if you want an old school feel. But unless the furniture doesn't come with a manual, there's over 100 pieces. Yes, I know. And sometimes they forget a key piece, which one time I sent the thing back to Amazon because I'm like, it's missing a piece. You're getting it back. Anyway. So that wraps up this stream. And I know we got to call it quits in a minute, but I believe we have reserved seats coming up. Is that right?
If you're
YouTube.
here, deleted, let us know, because I thought that what he had coming up was a members only stream.
Members only. My apologies. Yeah, I should.
That's why I didn't set up a forward for that. So
I should have checked up.
If I'm wrong, let me know.
Yeah, and then in an hour from now, we're going to have another episode of Doctor Who, right? Or is 2 episodes?
Part 3. Actually, part 3 for us. It's actually episodes 5 and 6, which wrap up the Keys of Marinus. So we're going to be wrapping up that teleplay, and hope you guys are enjoying the. We took a little break from Doctor Who last week because I was out of town, but we're getting back into it this week. So there you go.
Yeah, so that'll be fun, and I like that title, The Keys of Marinus, and of course, you'll have a Monday night movie tomorrow night, right?
Yes, it'll be, and I haven't looked to see who's winning the poll, but I had a poll up of a number of Chuck Norris films. We're going to be watching a Chuck Norris film and celebrating the life and career of a great American.
Yes.
On Monday night, and then of course every weekday afternoon at noon Central, 1 Eastern. I do Liquid Lunch, where I just hang out with you guys for lunch, talk about a different topic themed to the day, and if there's something you want to talk about, it's very, very easy to get me off the topic I was planning to talk about what you want to talk about, especially on Tuesdays. And so Tuesday after, I don't know if Deleted has his mystery movie night for Tuesday, but at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, we get into Twin Peaks live from Sparkwood and 21. The episode, I believe, is The One-Armed Man, followed immediately after by at 9 o'clock Central. We're returning to Sherlock Holmes, the Granada series. The episode is the what was it? The 9 Napoleons or something like that. Speaking of Star Trek, Marina Sirtis, Counselor Troy, in an early role in that. I believe that's pre Next Gen.
I think so. Yeah, probably before she got the part, because she wouldn't be able to leave the show for that. But yeah, that was probably before she started doing TNG.
And then Thursday, Netters Network. Anything in particular that we're talking about on Thursday?
I don't have a topic. I also don't have a guest. Hey, y'all, if any of you would like to be a guest on Thursday Things, you haven't been on before, if you got something interesting you want to talk about,
Yeah.
you want your channel to get more recognized, drop me a DM on Twitter X and let me know. Let's get you scheduled.
Absolutely.
And then Friday we'll be on again for last call. We'll be
Last call.
we'll be
Did we
talking
talk about
AI? We're doing another AI stream.
Oh, we're doing an AI stream? Okay, I didn't
Yes,
remember
okay.
if we had firmed that up or not.
No,
but
we're
yeah,
doing
good,
AI
good.
unless you have something more prescient, but I think we have enough stories and
We definitely do.
all right.
The AI articles are coming fast and furious. So
Yes.
definitely.
Oh, look at this.
Thank you so much.
The Shiba dog, or the as you say, the farty fox.
The farty fox. We
Farty
love the
fox.
farty fox. Thank you so much. Was that Nate? No, that was Lady Miss. That went to Netter's Network. Thank you so much, Miss
thank
Lady
you,
Miss.
Lady
You are
Miss.
wonderful.
All right. Well, I think on that note, we'll call it a night.
It's a night. Oh,
Yes.
oh, you mean wrap it up? Okay.
Wrap it up.
Thanks so much, guys. Take it easy, and members, get over to Deleted C's channel. Talk to you later. See you on the next one. Bye bye.
Good
Bye.
night.